Hi, and welcome to the Big Diesel Fit podcast show. I'm your host today, Stanford Smith, and today I want to talk about, it's basically everything that's been here on the shows that I've actually had all the interviews with, and it touches on every interview in my podcast. So I've learned a little bit from each and every interview that I've done. Hopefully you guys have been doing the same thing. So I'm going to talk about today an issue in trucking that is not addressed enough, and I think that with every driver that's out there can identify. And this is not really just on the truck drivers. I've done an interview with a pilot also, commercial airline pilot. So they tell me that they run into the same thing, or he talks about how it's basically the same thing. And one thing that stood out that he said to me was that the plane is flying, they're just sitting there. And so when you think about it, it's anyone that's really in this transportation industry where you're away from home for a long time at periods of time. It's a tough subject to talk about also, because a lot of as men, we don't really want to talk about it. But I just ran some numbers here and just trying to do statistics, and the numbers are just staggering as far as the suicide rate when it comes to men and boys versus when it comes to women. And I mean, it's something close to 40,000 a year in the year 2022, and women were 10,000, just not even quite 10,000 for basically the same year. It just shows that a lot of guys do hold in a lot of their feelings, and as the world is itself, it's hard to show your softer side. And so we let a lot of things bundle up inside of us. And I would be a hypocrite if I got on here and tried to talk about something that I haven't lived myself, or that I'm not currently living. And so these are all of things that have happened to me also that I can identify with, everything that I speak about. Being out on the road for 23 years as a driver, and some of that time being spent close, but 23 years as a truck driver, and most of the time was over the road. So I've had my share of relationships to where I've lost people that I cared about, and it's part of the industry. I know that when we talked to the pilot, he was saying that there's many pilots are on their third, fourth, fifth marriage, and the same thing for truckers. For me, I went through different girlfriends, just knowing that I would be gone for long periods of time, not knowing what's going to happen, but eventually they end up falling apart. Either the girl is at home cheating on you, and if you get in love and you fall in love with her, then you're constantly thinking about her. Well, I can go on and on. I mean, there's constant things that go through your mind as a driver. You don't know what's going on. You're away from each other. She's away from you. It's just a zillion thoughts that can go through your head. You have to experience it really to understand what it's like. This show right here is going to be more about two things that no one really understands, but they try to name it, and that's God and love. It's an energy source. It's a feeling. It can take over your body. It can take over you. It's just a feeling. It's an energy that you get. But how can we name it though? Yeah, I mean, sure, we call it love, but love doesn't mean anything when someone just says it to you. To me, it doesn't anymore. I mean, what does that mean? So what? You say you love me. You got to show me that you love me. I'll feel that you love me. I'll know that you love me. You don't have to tell me. And so it's an energy. It's just a force. So that's part of the fight that you, as drivers and being in that transportation industry, is that you have to fight with. And I want to tell a quick story here about my wife and how we met. And so it was my first time getting married. I never had kids. So I would just say that she was born in 81. I was born in 73, and we were married in 2019. So you guys can figure that out after a while. But let me just start the story at the beginning, and I'll tell you how it all happened. But with my ex-wife, it was that feeling at first sight when we first saw each other. So we met on a dating app, and when I saw her face, I just knew I could just look at her and just, I was just thinking that if she's anything what she looks like, then man, this could be the one. So I was just looking at her, and man, she was just so beautiful, just everything. Kept thinking about her all the time. Couldn't stop thinking about her. And at this time, I was actually driving local, and I ended up going on a dating site. I figured I was local. I wanted to meet somebody. So anyway, so yeah, so I was started talking. We ended up, meeting each other, and within that first week when I first saw her face, our first date that we went on, and I remember that all she had to do was, she just hold my hand. I'm kind of skipping ahead, but I don't want to make this a huge long story. So we ended up meeting for the first time, went on our first date. We just really kicked it off. Everything was just, it was just fun. Had a lot of fun with each other. Went to a museum. We just both love art. Everything we both love together. It was not everything, but there was a lot of things we had in common, especially when it came to just wanting to just not sit around the house all the time and do things. Every weekend we were either on a camping trip, we were doing something, and it was just exciting all the time. So we ended up getting married within 4 months of knowing each other, buying a house together. We really moved real fast. We just knew that we just wanted each other, and we couldn't be apart from each other. And we were together for about almost 5 years. We were together. We were married, and then we decided that, well, I decided that I wanted to get a truck because just being, a local driver, even though I was local, I was still working 14-hour days, and I couldn't have time to spend with her. Really, I was either sleepy, tired whenever I got home, exhausted, and so it was just, we wanted to spend time with each other, and so I said, well, maybe if I could make more money, is what my thought was, to buy a truck, and we ended up buying a truck together, and I'll say it was a really good truck. It was a good truck. It didn't break down any. It was ran really good. We made really good money, but I tried to tell her as a truck driver, uh, to really make money, you have to be on the road for months and months at a time because you're only getting paid when the wheels are turning, and so you get paid so many miles per mile. You get how much, 36 cents a mile, or 26 cents, 48 cents, or $1, or however you can, that's usually kind of, but either way, you got to be out there moving. And insurance is really high. It's a lot more now, I'm sure, but I was paying, 1,800 a month, plus about 1,800 a month on truck payments also, which is not bad nowadays because guys are paying way much more well, they're paying a lot more money. But anyway, so it was going pretty good for a little while. We were making money, and it was just time. We just couldn't, I couldn't go on the road a lot. It was really starting to get to her after a while, and it was getting to me too. Both of us, we just wanted to be together. So we ended up kind of making just life mistakes, getting a little over our head, just kind of pressures of the world, just wanting to be with each other. So after 5 years, we ended up getting a divorce, and she went to one state. I stayed in Florida, but I couldn't really bring myself to be with anyone else. I was never with anyone else the whole year, and so that's how I decided to just move to Thailand. And I did my research after about a year of us being apart from each other. I did my research, and I just kept looking into it. I just wanted something new in my life. A lot of the pressures of just not really being with anyone anymore, and of course, working still. I was still a driver, so working as a truck driver. But you had a good relationship, and it was, we had a lot of fun together. She had 2 kids. I ended up doing just kind of falling in love with Thailand because it just seems like it was a real social atmosphere, a lot of people around, and maybe I can socialize with someone learn some language and learn a new language and do something different. And so I just got infatuated with Thailand. And every day, whenever I had time when I was driving, I would just be listening to videos, listening to YouTube all the time, just listening to different shows and just really loving, everything I heard. Really, it was just a fun place. Seemed like, the place to be. And so the weather's great. I mean, everything was just perfect, just absolutely. I couldn't find any flaws in the place. And so after a while, I just kept on researching, and then I decided, all right, I'm just gonna pretty much kind of sell just about everything here, and I'm gonna go to Thailand now. And so took 2 days to get here, 2 days to get to Thailand. Just about, it felt like it's about a 2 day trip. And so got here, and I had a lot of fun at first. I met some people here and there, and it was different atmospheres, a lot of fun, a lot of activities going on. Kept my mind busy, walking every day, doing exercising now, retired from trucking. But after a while, though, you kind of get to a point where you still want that relationship, and try dating here and there, but it's hard when you don't really speak the language. So very nice people though, but and of course that you still have to have that type of energy that I'm looking for. And I compared a lot of people to my ex-wife, and no one really compared. So one day, it's been 2 years now, and one day I'm just recently just working out, and I see my ex-wife call me after 2 years. And I mean, it was nothing but all kinds of crap going through my head. I don't know, fear, don't know, I mean, you don't know. You haven't talked to a person in 2 years. And, I mean, is it still a lot of animosity? Is it going to be anger? Is it fight? And so I had to go through all that in my head. So I ended up answering the phone, and we started talking for a while, and she decided to come out. And it was just anticipation to get here. But as soon as I saw her on the bus, it was like the first time I've seen her all over again. And it was so that first night we talked a lot. We got a lot off our mind. We ended up really just basically saying, sorry to each other. We never argued throughout our whole relationship. Never ever got in one argument. The only thing was the whole, not being around each other and just being away from each other and getting stressed over the world, and just debt and bills and just worldly situations that just come with just living in the world. I mean, it's everywhere. Everyone go through it, and so it could be a lot of stress on people. It's just life, and so it's just life that we live a hard life, and especially being away from each other like that. But it's tough. So we ended up talking and started back like we haven't even been away from each other for a day, just having fun with each other, going out every day, and just the whole relationship just started at the beginning again. And so, I say that because, I wanted to just, I mean, that's a name that you can say, but really it's just a force. It's just an energy force, because I don't give it any names. I just feel this force whenever we're together. We don't have to tell each other that we love each other. We just show it to each other. I mean, she came from the United States, which is, like I said, a 2 day drive or 2 day flight. And who would do that for someone else? I mean, so to give that a name, I couldn't name that anything. It was just a force that we just have with each other. It's just an energy, and we just can't be apart from each other. So whether, I notice that there is a lot of women now getting into the industry and becoming truck drivers. And so, you will experience this though, being away from your loved one, and because of the career that you've chosen. I don't know much about pilots, but I imagine so, because the world's changing. So female pilots, you see what it feels like. And it is something that you will go through, and men, we go through it. And men, you see the numbers, 39 or something like 28,000 men die in suicide. And it's not all just, I'm not saying that, it's just you just get down on yourself and you get depressed, but that's really what it is. And whatever makes that happen, a lot of things can make that happen. Just getting down on yourself and getting depressed, or however you want to describe it, but it's a low energy. You're just down, whatever it is, however you want to name it. And being on the road and just find ourselves in, because of the world, you want to make a living. And so this is what you're forced to do, but it is a difficult career. So that's going to do it for the show today. I'm Stanford Smith, your host, and I'll see you next time.